Jacinto is qualified, he's independent. I have not always agreed with Mr. DiGiacinto at this table. I disagree with him on many issues. But I think when I look at his resume, I believe he is qualified. He can start tomorrow, and that's why I'm supporting him this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Sanchez. Final comments? No. Seeing none, we will move to the election. Agenda item 6, the election. The election will move through with roll call vote. The clerk will call members of council who will vote on one of the nominees. And I will remind you that we need 4 votes. So to win the to declare a winner, we will need 4 votes for one candidate, one nominee. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
I'm sorry, I was just giving some information. What do you first say? If we don't reach that point. And I just have a quick question about the process you just outlined.
Yes.
If we go through this and in the likely event that we don't reach, we have to reach 4 votes, correct?
That's correct.
Would it be would we just proceed again, or would it be, would someone be compelled to drop out, or can everyone proceed as before with perhaps more discussion and questions?
Oh, yeah, I would ask our solicitor.
It is very important, and I think that we've had some constitutional issues this evening, that council vote for their candidate as they best see fit in the derogation of their duties. As you probably are aware, in my 30-some years of being a municipal solicitor, this isn't my first rodeo. We may vote a number of times, and in fact, you may not be able to choose someone this evening. I have no idea what's going to happen, but certainly council should vote in the best interest of the citizens of Bethlehem, pursuant to their sworn duty as a council person.
And is it true that at this point, everyone is still in the game, even if they haven't been nominated? Or are only those who have been nominated in the game? I mean, no one can, someone couldn't vote. Or can you vote for someone who hasn't been nominated? Like, for example, as we did, as you could when you voted for president and vice
The
president.
answer is yes.
Okay. So it makes sense to stick around, I guess. Don't drop out. All right. Okay. All right.
Clerk? Okay. The clerk, please call the roll on nominees.
Mrs. Walensky. Mr. DiGiacinto. Ms. Dolan.
Mr. Shire.
Mr. Sanchez.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Mr. Raschuti.
Mr. Yasso.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Yasso.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Shire. We have 2-2-2 first time. So the procedure will be to repeat the process. I'd like to do a roll call a couple times. If we find there's movement, that would be good. If we do not, I will open up for further discussion or debate on any of the candidates. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Walensky. Mr. DiGiacinto. Ms. Dolan.
Mr. Shire.
Mr. Sanchez.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Mr. Raschuti.
Mr. Yasso.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Yasso.
Can we ask questions? No.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Shire. Okay, do you have a question, Councilman Dolan? For the next roll call?
I guess we could go through the roll call again, but I would like to ask somewhat deeper questions of two of the nominated candidates to see if
Stay in election.
I would say that.
Yeah.
stay,
Yeah.
just go ahead. Okay.
comments, anyone from council? Yes, please do.
It may be appropriate for me at this point to indicate that we have not, this has not been put in any of the memos to this point, but in section 802, third class city code, it reads as follows. If by reason of a tie vote or otherwise, such vacancy shall not have been filled by members of city council within the time as limited herein, the Court of Common Pleas, upon petition of 10 or more qualified electors, shall fill such vacancy by the appointment of a qualified person for the portion of the unexpired term as provided herein. So what I'm indicating is that if you get to a point where you're at a total impasse and you are at loggerheads or a locked vote and you cannot get 4 votes, then might go to the Court of Common Pleas upon the petition of 10 qualified electors to fill the controller slot.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Question for the solicitor. Mr. Spadoni, just a follow-up on that point. Let's just say hypothetically we are deadlocked this evening. Are we within the 30 days? We could have a continuation of this meeting Tuesday?
Certainly. Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
What would determine deadlock? I mean, are we going to, like you say, open it up to questions or to discussion before we determine deadlock?
Well, I would like to do that as much as possible to move away from it. We're pretty deep in one now at 222. It's more than, again, none of us coming in really knew which direction we were headed. Well, there's going to be 3 with 6 members too. It makes it a little bit more difficult, whether it be 3-3. But I didn't even see 222 coming. So if we are in that deep, I would like to open up for discussion that might move anyone in one direction or other. I don't want to use the word compromise, but thinking other candidates, are there candidates that I would like to reach a conclusion before it goes to Northampton County Court. I think we need to do that here in council, whether it be tonight, whether it be Tuesday, we can talk about that if we have some time. It's 9 o'clock. I would like to continue to work a little bit more tonight. But I think we need to talk about what candidates are qualified. I think we've reduced that. What candidates do we think could fill the spot? If it's not our initial candidate, original candidate, or someone else that we may be able to move to so that we can reach that number 4. Councilman Dolan.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, then, if we get to that point where we're deadlocked, just so I understand the conversation that just occurred, before it had gotten to that point of us going to, for whatever we would decide, at what point tonight, if we decide it was deadlocked, there is someone who had brought up the idea of continuing the meeting before City Council on Tuesday, before we go to the court, because I mean, that's an option I think we certainly would want to avoid. I mean, in this particular scenario, I would hope that, even if we weren't able to come to a conclusion tonight, that we would be able to, at least take the next 4 or 5 days and find a way to maybe read more, learn more, do whatever we need to do to reach a conclusion before it goes to the courts.
You're within the 30-day window. Council has the ability to act within that 30-day window.
Mr. Evans,
Councilman Rashidi.
may I ask, inquire of Mr. Spadoni when our 30-day window closes?
I'm frankly unprepared for that, but as is the resignation of our current controller, 30 days hence.
So we're looking at May, March 1st?
I hate to speculate, can I give you a memo tomorrow, but we're within the 30 days. I think her resignation was effective at the end of January.
January 31st.
Yeah, 30 days post January 31st.
So we okay with second? Any other comments?
I'd like to make the comment that up until this point, we were looking at
How many candidates were we looking at? First we were looking at 5, and then we were looking at 6.
and now the task in front of us is very different. I mean, I think just repeating the same vote, what you're getting is you're getting our responses from looking at a crowd of 6 people. And now that we're looking at, in some ways, we're sort of down to 3 in terms of who made it into this round of nominations. And the kind of question I would want to ask now would be very specific to those 3, or even just 2 or 1 toward whom I'm leaning. I think it's very different to compare 5 and then a 6th in a totally different situation than to look at 2. I'm looking at 2 right now, and I would like the opportunity to ask questions of those 2 that specifically address just their applications. And it could change my mind. I'm not saying it will, but I don't see anything else that would. I keep asking, I'm going to have the same impressions I had from the first round.
I would agree. I agree with your comments, agree with your thoughts. I think with the 2-2-2, how many times we ran? 3 roll calls? 2. We just ran 2 roll calls. I don't know if we would like to run a couple, 2, 3 more. I think your points are well taken. I think if we moved, I was hoping to, I think we all thought we'd have this wrapped up tonight, come to some conclusion, resolution, and we're just not there. I think the discussion moving to Tuesday is a good idea. It would allow us to narrow our focus and come up with more questions. We would need to set the procedure, and we're okay to advertise and get the word out to do this. Mr. Solicitor?
It is a public meeting. It would be a continuation of this public meeting. It is proper business present before council.
Okay, what I'd like to do is I'm going to call one more roll call. If anyone has had, as we're talking, a mindset change, and if anything changes, we'll roll. Again, if we end up 2-2-2, I'd like to move the discussion into moving to Tuesday to bring it to a resolution and then work on procedures to get us there.
I would agree, Mr. Evans. I think that if we're unable to come to a conclusion, I think that it would be in the best interest of the council, probably. If we're voting the same way again, and people are that committed to their individual candidate, probably would be the best idea to move it to Tuesday.
Mr. President. Councilman Donches.
I would agree with Councilman Reynolds. I think it's important that if we're deadlocked tonight, that if we could meet Tuesday, but I think it's important that this body make the selection, not that it goes to Northampton County Court, in my opinion. I think it's imperative that the members at this table select the next city controller, not the court.
Mr. Evans?
Okay. Councilman Schutte.
I would agree with Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Donchez about moving this. My question is procedural. Would this be a agenda item on our regular council agenda for Tuesday, or would this be a special meeting prior to or after our regular council meeting?
If I may, you can do 2 things, in my opinion. One is you could recess this meeting, this special meeting, by motion, second and vote of council to a time certain. I guess that would be Tuesday at 6 o'clock. That's a good time. Or alternatively, as it is now in front of council, it could be listed under old business in the agenda.
Question, Mr. Spinelli. If it's listed under old business in the agenda, does that give us the opportunity to, during the meeting, ask more specific questions of the nominated candidates or another candidate during the meeting, or are we going to be moving forward with the same information that we have right now? Unless we have a special meeting.
It would be my goal, as always, that the public should be heard, and so should city council. So I would opine that questions would be in order
During the meeting,
during the meeting,
without a time limit.
without a time limit.
Councilman Reynolds.
Just a question here. So then if we have a regular city council meeting at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, I'm guessing that we could possibly push that back. But I think that there's certainly the potential for that, if we have a lot of questions, to have that question and answer portion of it go pretty long if we're deadlocked. I don't know how strongly people feel about their other candidates. But I would suggest, or at least bring up for discussion, the idea of at least proposing, just think again, or we should think again about proposing questions and allowing us to get answers back and the public to get answers back, so then they can comment as well before, because it may be that if we get those answers back and people in the audience think this person is right, this person is wrong, that could influence us as well, rather than making them speak on basically the same information they have now, and then making the people answer the questions afterward. It's kind of like having, them speak on agenda items that we're going to vote on, if that makes any sense. If we kind of just save whatever questions we have for Tuesday without letting the people in the audience have a chance to look at them and the general public have a chance to look at them, I think it minimizes the opportunity for them to then respond or change their opinion and potentially influence us on Tuesday after those candidates answer those questions.
So then it'll be immediately after the 15-minute recess. And special, so that's phenomenal.
After the city council meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah.
As soon as I started agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, motion second to call for the recess to a special.
Recess, the special meeting on the conclusion of city council meeting on Tuesday, yes.
I can make a motion.
Let me get it out there. I'll ask you for motion. Okay, we're going to do one more roll call just to make it official tonight. See if anyone in our discussions here has decided to change their vote. Will the clerk please call the roll on the motion? I'm sorry, the motion. Please call the roll on the election.
Mrs. Belinsky,
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Ms. Dolan,
Mr. Shire.
Mr. Donchez,
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Mr. Raschuti,
Mr. Yasa?
Mr. Reynolds,
Mr. Yasa.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Sharp. Okay. What I'd like to do is ask for a motion. I think the most prudent way to work it would be to ask for a motion to recess this special city council meeting to reconvene immediately following the conclusion of our city council meeting on Tuesday. That way our city council meeting could start on time at 7 o'clock. It could conclude, we will adjourn that meeting, take a short recess. That business will be done out of the way. I believe it's a pretty short agenda. And not immediately, but 15 minutes after the adjournment of our regular city council meeting, we will call this meeting to order and hopefully bring it to a conclusion on Tuesday night.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Belinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Dolan,
Aye.
Mr. Donchez,
Aye.
Mr. Raschuti,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye. Okay, to follow through with the agenda, we're on 6, we'll pick that up on Tuesday night. We will not move to 7, the resolution, as we do not have not been able to declare a winner this evening. We will move to agenda item number 8, public comment. This public comment session is for any subject. It is under a 5-minute time limit. Mr. Fenning.
Procedural question, Mr. President, basically. I know you're not supposed to respond to me, but I think the world may end tonight because I think Mr. Reynolds and I were on the same page there for a little bit. And, you know, I feel the earth shaking and I hope my house survives. Anywho, where in this process, if anywhere, when you reconvene this meeting after regular council, will the public have any input?
And then
People will come and vote any questions before we give them.
the procedures will be formalized tomorrow. The way we see what public comment, like any meeting, is that what your question was, in the beginning and at the end? I think that the difference here when we come back will be, the council will be kind of reloaded with what their thoughts are, with what their questions are. So after we have public comment, which will begin on Tuesday night, we will then turn it to council for questions of the candidates at that time, question and answer sessions. Then move back to the election, hope to reach a conclusion to the resolution and back to public comment. I would say that as being the procedure for
Okay,
Tuesday.
again, a procedural question. Currently, you have 3 nominees before you. Is it possible that in your discussion, a 4th or 5th or 6th may surface, and then you've got a different issue to deal with? It's possible for that to happen?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. I like process.
Thank you, Mr. Fenning. Anyone else like to address council? Under public comment, Mr. Grubb.
Just a very brief comment. Oh, Dana Grubb, 2420 Henderson Place. Sorry. Those of you who had questions in this public context tonight, thank you. I think this was the place where that type of thing needed to take place so that the public could witness that interaction between council members and the candidates. So thank you very much for those of you who did pose questions.
Thank you, Mr. Grubb. Anyone else like to address council under public comment tonight? No? Seeing none? Meeting for this evening is adjourned.